guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, or in this case tonight, I'm going to be wrapping up the story of the incredible trilogy that I began earlier today. And let me tell you, it will be worth the wait. This guy who definitely, as the story is, that he was played like a fiddle by his wife, definitely is going to make his comeback and definitely get even with her. You guys will very much enjoy this, and she has it coming. Now, where we left off, that was all that crap that went down that we honestly don't really want to remember, but you all know what I'm talking about here with his wife and that Roger character and the chick that was living with him and all that. Found out as much truth as he could from that girl, what was going on, and that is it. He is done. He's going to divorce her, and he is starting his plan. And he's about to start that journey right now. And also, let me tell you, when he enacts that plan, you're going to be hearing all the typical phrases coming out of her, and it will be no surprise to you. And let me tell you, this is good. So, it continues on, says here, I sat at the dinner table waiting and made a list of things to do. Get a lawyer, get an STD test, change the locks on the door. I thought about what a divorce would entail. This was a no-fault state. Well, that sucks, bro. I made significantly more money than Ada, so I figured she would demand alimony. I own my own condo, I bought it before we got married, and the title was still only in my name. We each had a separate bank account with a joint account that we both contributed for food, utilities, etc. I had a brokerage account in my name only. Our 401ks, of course, were separate. The two cars were both of our names, as were our credit cards. I figured the first thing to do was get a lawyer. I looked at my watch and figured my sister, a lawyer back home, would be up by now. I called her and told her that I was divorcing Ada and explained the situation. I can't imagine that conversation, brother. I asked her not to tell my parents yet. I'd tell them when I was ready, but I needed a divorce attorney. She told me that she went to law school and remained friendly with a guy who practiced here, in the city where I'm living right now. He didn't practice family law, but there was probably somebody in his firm who did. She called him right now and asked. My sister said she would call me back. It is always beneficial to have an attorney in the family. I was fortunate to have a lawyer in the family, a doctor in the family. All I was missing was an auto mechanic and a cop in the family. I would have been set. I looked online for a local 24-hour locksmith. I found one and called them. I told them that they told me they'd be here within 2 hours. My sister called back and said she talked to her lawyer friend and that the friend would call the woman who did family law in his firm. Her name is Sharon, and to expect her phone call. The locksmith showed up and rekeyed both the front and patio doors. You're having a very productive morning, sir, and you're fortunate to have your sister as an attorney pulling some strings on the weekend. The family law lawyer Sharon called, and I apologized for disturbing her on a Saturday. She said no problem. She was told that it was a very important client and do everything she could to help me, and that it was urgent. I thanked her and told her about the situation. She said adultery couldn't be used for dissolution of marriage in this no-fault state. Anyway, we both could be accused of adultery. Well, your wife certainly pulled a fast one on you and lured you in with that whole thing. I told them that I've changed the locks and about our basic financial situation. My condo, the cars, and the bank account, and brokerage accounts. She said changing the locks could be a problem and that it would be better to get Ada to agree to leave instead of trying to force her out. She says do not threaten her. Certainly don't hit her or push her. She could fight being evicted and the judge might not like you forcing her to leave. Figure out a way to get her to agree to leave. Tell her you need space to think things over or something like that. Whatever. Maybe you'll get lucky and she'll want to stay with her boyfriend. Yeah, well, maybe her boyfriend won't want her to stay. I'd probably end up paying alimony, but my condo, bank, and brokerage accounts, 401k, and one car were probably safe. We'd have to see what her attorney would say. She and I needed to meet. She'd come in early on Monday. Could I meet her at 7:30 in the morning? And I told her I would be there. She said to bring whatever I had about our finances. I thanked her again and we hung up. I felt I accomplished a lot for a Saturday. Hell yeah, brother, and you were highly motivated to do so. Meanwhile, Ava is off with that low life. But Ava will be returning shortly. At about noon, I got a text message from a phone number I didn't recognize. Ah, gee, who could it be? It was from Ada, probably using Roger's phone number. She said she would be home in about an hour. She was sorry about everything that happened last night. Yeah, I'm sure she is. She loved me and wanted to remain married. She had a chance to explain, and I didn't respond. Explain what? But let me guess. Blame the drugs. Blame everything but herself. About 20 minutes later, I got a call from the same number. I figured it was Ada. Maybe she wasn't coming home after all. It would solve a lot of problems if she decided to stay with Roger. It wasn't Ada, it was Roger. Remember in the other story how that gal said how she overheard him saying how he likes to call the husbands and taunt them? That type of thing. Again, proving how masculine he is and how dominant he is and all that other bullshit. He started by telling me that I must think I'm a big man because I blindsided him, attacked him when he wasn't looking. I knew he wouldn't be able to handle that. Remember how he threw him out of the apartment or the condo? I knew he couldn't handle that. The next time he saw me, he would kick my ass good. Yeah, sure, dude. Maybe I won the first round because I took him by surprise, but he'd won my wife. She totally belonged to him. Well, you can keep her, asshole. But lucky for me, he was tired of her, so he kicked her out. I could have her back. After 2 or 3 times a week for 10 months, he lost interest in her. This mother effort just has to twist that knife and pour the salt in, but don't worry, this guy will get what's coming to him. And, oh yeah, he dumped the wife. Now we know why she's contacting him. So sorry, wants to work on the marriage. But Roger continued. She was used up and she was getting clingy. And he'd fill all her holes too many times. He was bored. After being with him, no other man would be able to satisfy Ada again. Who is this motherfucker? But at least she knows how it feels to be effed by a real man. Ada told him I've never been able to satisfy her. He's made Ada into a SCX toy who'd go with any man now, any man but me, that is. I don't know about you guys, but I would probably be willing to do jail time to give that guy exactly what he deserves. Really. Roger started telling me details about their activities, but I stopped him. Told him that if he wanted to try to kick my ass, he knew where I lived. He can come by any time. I hung up on him and blocked his number. Well, something tells me Mr. Big Mouth here isn't going to stop by and try to challenge you. Call me crazy, but I don't think that's going to happen. A little while later, I heard a key at the door. Ada's key no longer worked. When she realized that, she knocked on the door and asked me to let her in. I asked her what did she want. Why was she here? She asked me to please let her in. We needed to talk. She loved me and wanted to repair our marriage. Interesting after your piece of crap lover kicked you out and all that, and how you behaved last night, and how you've been behaving all along and manipulated me into this whole thing and orchestrated the whole thing. Now you want to work things out. I let her in. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. She wore the same clothes she left in, and she smelled. She came in the living room, looking at Kathy standing in the kitchen, and asked me if I'd changed the locks. I told her I had, and she no longer lived here, so wouldn't have access to my condo. I told her I've already talked to an attorney and the divorce is underway. I told her to pack up and get out. I told her not to forget her phone. She was excited. She was so excited to have SCX with her lover last night that she forgot her phone and she chased him after last night. Ada realized I was serious about the divorce. We weren't going to kiss and make up. She asked if we could sit down and talk. I told her we could talk about divorcing. She asked Kathy if she could leave us alone to talk. Kathy looked worried. I told Ada that Kathy wasn't going anywhere. Remember when Ada said Kathy wasn't going anywhere either when this guy thought it wasn't a good idea she lived there? She was there for me when Ada was not. Ada was with her lover. Kathy could stay if she wanted. I didn't tell Ada this or Kathy, but I wanted Kathy to witness our conversation. Very smart. Ada sat down and said that she had behaved atrociously. Well, that's putting it mildly. That she didn't know what happened to her. It's not my fault. It was the drugs. She apologized and asked my forgiveness. She said she slept with Roger at his place last night, but blamed it on the Molly, the ex. When she sobered up, she realized what a colossal mistake in judgment she made. She told Roger they were done, not to contact her again, and rushed home. Well, interesting you should say that because your piece of crap lover called me and told me he kicked you out. And I was informed by Miss Kathy here that this has been going on for months, even though you claimed this was just one time, and you didn't know what you were doing. She confessed that it wasn't the drugs' fault. She put us in a bad situation by inviting Roger and doing the drugs. She pretty much knew what would happen, but she explained that she was upset by my sleeping with Kathy, who you arranged and set up on purpose to get away with you hooking up with Roger. She had pushed Kathy on me as a sort of a loyalty test, and I failed the loyalty test, and she wanted to get back at me to show me how that sort of betrayal hurt. Let's just say for argument's sake that was true. Is that how you treat someone you love? God, the lying, the lying, the lying. For you guys that watch my channel regularly, this is no surprise to you at all. She apologized again and said she wanted to stay married and love me. She behaved and treated me despicably. She would do anything I asked to save our marriage. Do tell. Well, I have some requirements. Please try to forgive her. I asked her why I should believe anything she told me. She's been lying to me for months. She said that she always tried to be honest with me. I asked her if she was bisexual, and she told me no. And she told me. She said no. That wasn't true. Holy shit, she actually was truthful about one thing. I asked her if she only hooked up with Roger last night and never before last night. And she said that was true. She looked at Kathy to see if Kathy would contradict her lie. Kathy wisely said nothing. I told her Roger just called me. He said that she and Roger had been sleeping together 2 or 3 times a week for months. He also said that he broke it off with you, his SCX toy. He threw you out because he was tired of you. You didn't break up with him. And can you guess, gentlemen, what is about to happen now? Put your wagers down as to what phenomenon is about to happen with Ada. Ada started crying. She said she lied so I wouldn't realize just how horrible of a person she was. She apologized again and said she would be completely honest with me from now on. Your nose is growing, Miss Pinocchio. She said that Roger didn't end it. She did. He just said that to cause problems. He was always willing to have SEX with anyone who'd have SEX with him. She said she finally came down from the high and realized how terrible she'd been to me. Really, after 4 months? Oh wait, he lied. She couldn't face me after her disgraceful behavior if she was still involved with him. Me and her marriage to me certainly meant more to her than Roger ever would, and she told him it was over. I asked her if she used condoms with Roger, and she said always. So the condom she used on me that first night was with Kathy was from her own stash to use with Roger. And she nodded. Where did she keep her condoms? At work. Ada had planned my first night with Kathy down to every last detail, even bringing condoms home for me to use with Kathy. Oh my God. I wasn't kidding. I told you this is the most crazy and also amazing story ever. You're not going to forget this, guys. I sure as hell won't. She went on to say she'd be the perfect wife from now on. We were even. We've both been unfaithful, so we can restart over fresh. A new beginning. She'd be willing to do anything I wanted. Anything. She loved me more than her life. We could rebuild our marriage. No more outside distraction. Kathy or Roger or anyone else. Kathy should leave so we can be alone together to work on us. We were happy when it was just us. We could be that again. So I want to point out, guys, in a little intermission here, because I'm sure your minds are spinning from all her bullshits coming out of her mouth. How many times I tell you, when a woman has a certain perception of a guy, like he's the nice guy, she will think that no matter what she does, she can get him to cave. Now, eventually, his nice guy whiz will come out and he'll be like, okay, I'll forgive you. That's what we have here. I guarantee you she knows that her number's up, but still, she's pressing forward. The lies, the waterworks, the theatrics. It's amazing. She doesn't think that this guy will do what I know he's going to do. Good. Here was the opportunity to get out of this marriage with as little financial damage to me as possible. Maybe also a little revenge. Maybe make this woman sorry she ever met me. Well, my brother, that's for certain. I told Ada that I would consider reconciliation, but I had a specific set of demands that she had to follow. If she didn't agree to follow them or fail to follow them in the future, she would have to leave and we would divorce. She said that she would do whatever I asked. Her only wish is that we get back together at how our marriage was before Kathy and Roger. Oh, again, because Kathy's right here. It's Kathy's fault. I told her what I wanted her to do. Number 1, text Roger and tell him she never wanted. Okay. Number 1, text Roger and tell him she never wanted him to contact her again. Ada said she already told him that we were done and couldn't tell him that again at work on Monday. She was definitely finished with him. I told her to text him right now. She said okay and got her phone. She wrote a text, handed me the phone for approval of what she'd written, and it said that she never wanted to talk to him or see him again. I told her to add that his dick was so small that he would never be able to satisfy her. He says, I know, a little petty, but so what? Dude, you can be as petty as you want. You have permission from tens of thousands of dudes all over the world right now. You earned it. Ada looked at me concerned and said if I'm worried that Roger was somehow better than me in bed, that he wasn't. Not in any way. He doesn't give a shit about this lady. Also, I was bigger. I told her to add what I said. She did and sent the text to him. I told her then to block him. She did. I told her when we were finished talking, she needed to delete all her social media apps. She said she would. I told her that I wanted full access to her phone and computers, and she agreed. Number 2. I told her that she needs to call her boss first thing Monday morning and tell him she's quitting her job effective immediately. She would not even go to pack up her desk. They could throw her stuff out or give what she wanted to keep to Kathy to bring her home. She also needed to tell her boss that she was quitting because she had been having an affair with Roger and was so humiliated that she couldn't show her face at work. I told her I'd be listening to her conversation with her boss. Ada said if she quit without notice, she'd never be able to get a job in our field again. How could I ask her to do that? I told her that it was probably true that she wouldn't be able to get a job in our field again, but it was absolutely true that I would divorce her if she didn't quit on Monday. Her choice, and she told me she'd call her boss Monday morning and tell him what I wanted her to do. She was crying again. Bro, badass. Number 3. I told her she'd be staying in a spare bedroom. Shit, I'd make her sleep in the garage. Kathy can stay in my room with me if she wants. Or Kathy could stay in another spare bedroom if she wanted to do that. Up to her. I wouldn't ask Kathy to leave. I wasn't interested in having SCX with Ada, but even if I became interested again, I wouldn't touch her until she showed me a clear STD panel. Ada said she thought we'd be starting over without any outside distractions. She thought Kathy would be leaving. I told her I was happy to have Kathy stay. I repeated that Kathy was there for me when Ada was off screwing Roger. Kathy could stay as long as she wanted. If I saw her treating Kathy badly in any way, Ada would be out the door. At this point, Kathy's friendship was more important to me than my marriage to Ada. I looked at Kathy and asked if she'd like to stay in this weird arrangement. Kathy looked relieved and nodded. Ada said okay, and she'd get an STD test as soon as she could. While this is all funny and everything, Kathy's a fucking drama queen and enjoys this just as much as, any other gal. Number 4, and this is probably my favorite one. Let's see if you guys like number 4 as well. Number 4, I told her she needed to call her parents and confess all the details about her affair with Roger. She needed to tell them that she's doing everything she could to reconcile with me, but that a divorce was still possible. She needed to make sure they understood that this was all on her. I was not at fault in any way. I told her I'd be listening to her conversation with them. She asked if she could just tell her parents she had an affair, was trying to make amends and trying to get me to forgive her. She wanted to spare her parents the details. I said I wanted her to give them all the details of the affair. Who with, how long, why she did it, and to take full responsibility. She needed to be clear, very clear, about what she did and that I was in no way responsible for her actions. I was completely innocent. She said she would do that. I told her she would call them as soon as we finished talking. She was really crying now. Well, we're going to come back to this number 4 on the terms and conditions in a moment when we'll get more details about her call with mom and dad. Number 5. I told her that I was going to see a divorce lawyer Monday morning. I would have the divorce lawyer drop a divorce settlement, which we would both sign. I would hold off filing a divorce agreement with the court for 45 days. At the end of 45 days, I would decide to continue to try reconciliation or to divorce. The divorce agreement would include me keeping my condo, my bank and brokerage accounts, my 401k, my car, Charlie the dog. Hell yeah, you're keeping Charlie the dog. Ada would forego any claim on any of the assets in my name and my car. Ada would keep her bank account, her 401k, her clothes and jewelry, except her engagement ring, which she would return to me. She would need to sell her car, and we would split the money from the sale since I helped pay for it. There would be no alimony. There may be other things in the settlement after I talk to the lawyer. If I decide to divorce, or Ada decides she wanted to divorce me, this agreement we signed now would be what was submitted to the court. Bro, you are a badass. You're going to have all these terms and conditions in this divorce thing, which you're going to get her to sign. No alimony, you keep the condo, you keep the dog, your money, all that. You can sell her car. And by the way, she's about to jeopardize her career, so she can't go back to that line of work. And she's going to sign it. And you're going to basically pretend that we're working on things. But we all know what he's really doing here. Ada said she would sign the agreement, but wanted more than 45 days to prove her love for me. I told her 45 days and we would go from there, and she said okay. I told Ada that's all I had for now. She, of course, could leave at any time, but if she didn't do exactly as we discussed, she'd be gone. And she may be gone even if she did exactly as I wanted. She said she understood. She wanted to keep our marriage and would do what I wanted if that would keep us together. She added that she couldn't understand her behavior and needed therapy. Okay, I'm just going crazy. She asked me if we could do marriage counseling. I told her that her individual therapy was fine, but anything the insurance didn't cover, she would have to pay for herself. I'd have to think about marriage counseling, but probably not. We'll talk about that in 45 days. I told her to call her parents. Here we go, guys. This is the fun part. I told her to call her parents. She said she was exhausted and needed a shower and some sleep. Well, I agree. She definitely needs a shower. Could she call them later? I told her to call them right now. I wanted to hear a complete confession. No shading the truth. She picked up her phone and I told her to put her on speaker. She called and her father answered. She said she needed to talk with him and her mother. Could he get mom on the phone too? He said she wasn't home. What was going on? He sounded very worried now. Ada looked at me and asked if she could talk to just her father now, and if I wanted, she could tell her mother later, and I said okay. Now, place your bets again, gentlemen, for what's about to happen next. She started crying again and told her dad that she had betrayed me. Here we go. The waterworks. Daddy. The love of her life by having an affair with a coworker. The affair had been going on for months, and I just found out. I had in no way been responsible for causing the affair. It was nothing I did or didn't do. I was a loving and wonderful man and husband, so wonderful that I was willing to give her a second chance. That's what she thinks. She had behaved so shamefully, she didn't deserve another chance, but I was willing to try to forgive her. She was grateful to me. I'd always been a fantastic person. She wouldn't screw up a second time. Sure. She continued the affair, of course, and it was over. She'd be quitting her job immediately because that's what I wanted, and me and her marriage were more important than any career. She said that she didn't understand why she had done this to me, herself, and our marriage, and would seek therapy to work on her problems. And they were her problems, not problems with me. Not problems with our marriage. She loved me and would do anything for me. She'd be working as hard as she could to try to regain my trust and love. Good Lord. Her father asked her if she was in love with the guy that she had the affair with. She sighed and said no. She didn't even really like him. He was an arrogant, stupid man and wasn't even man enough to stand in my shadow. She told her father that she only loved me. Well, you have an interesting way of showing your love, honey. Her father asked why she would risk destroying her marriage for someone she didn't even like. She responded that for some reason she was attracted to him. A woman attracted to an arrogant douchebag. Whoever would have thought. She responded that for some reason she was attracted to him, and she really needed help sorting this out. He asked if she had any other affairs. She looked at me and adamantly told her father, no other affairs. She said one was bad enough. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Her father asked to talk to me, and I took the phone. He asked how I was doing, and I told him, not good. He asked how I found out. Did Ada tell me? I said sort of. She invited her lover over for dinner yesterday. Started to have sex with him on the couch in front of me, and when I threw the guy out, she followed him home. I told my guest that you could say that was her telling me. Whoa. He told his father-in-law, her dad, that? Wait till they talk again. Her father apologized for her behavior. He said he was beside himself. Is there anything he can do for me? I told him no. He said I was a stand-up guy to give her a second chance. If there was anything I needed or anything I wanted to talk about, he was there to help. He asked to talk to his daughter again. I gave the phone back to Ada and heard him yell, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" She was really crying hard now and said, "Daddy, I don't know what's wrong with me. I love Jerry. I loved him every minute for 10 years. I can't imagine my life without him. I'm going to work as hard as I can to hold on to him and hope I can. I don't know what I did. I have no excuses. I'm a horrible person. I can't believe I did any of this. But I did, and I have to fix it now." Now she's saying that with crying and blubbering and speaking Tuscan Raider and all that. When they cry, they get that way. She asked her father any further questions. He said no and asked if she wanted her mother to call. She told him she'd call her later. She looked at me and asked if she needed to tell her father anything else. I told her to make sure he understood the divorce was still on the table. We try to work things out for 45 days and decide then whether she stays or goes. She told him and looked at me to see if I wanted her to say anything more, and I told her okay. She told her father that she was sorry and that she was such a horrible wife and daughter, but that she'd be a better person from now on. He told her she'd better be and better make it right by me. She said she would. They said goodbye and hung up. Well, she just ruined his Saturday. She sat on the couch and cried. Shocker. And she asked me if she could hug me. I told her she can't be serious. She asked if I still loved her, and I said not after last night. She curled into a ball on the couch and continued crying. I told her to go take a shower. She stinks of sex and sweat, and go get some sleep. In the spare bedroom, she's no longer welcome in my bed. I told her she'd probably need a wire brush and battery acid to get Roger's stink off her. Maybe a powerful disinfectant for her mouth. She went off to the shower crying. No amount of disinfectant mixed with Listerine and anything else is going to get that taste off her mouth. Kathy came to sit beside me. She hugged me and thanked me for letting her stay. She said she still considered Ada a friend and would do whatever I wanted to help Ada and get me through this. Oh, for God's sakes. God, they're all the same. If Ada and I need alone time together, she could visit her parents in Los Angeles for a while. I told her if she needed to see her parents, that was fine, but I'd like her to stay. She said she'd stay. I didn't tell her I had no plans to get through this with Ada. Kathy didn't need to know that right now. No, she does not need to know that. No fucking way. She could turn on you like that. On Monday, I listened to Ada calling her boss and quit her job. She told him exactly what I wanted her to tell him about the affair with Roger and how ashamed she was. Her boss told her that she didn't have to quit. He, as in Roger, had gotten several complaints from women about Roger's behavior. He had already warned Roger twice, and this was his third strike. He would fire Roger as soon as they get off the phone. Awesome. He was way more trouble than he was worth to the company. His work was subpar, and they didn't want employees like him. Whether she continued at work or not, Roger was gone. Now imagine that. Remember Mr. Know-It-All with the finances and everything, and the boss here saying, this guy, his work is subpar, he's not worth it. What I tell you about the biggest know-it-alls, the biggest mouths, are also the most insecure fucking people. Her boss told Ada that she could keep working and not have to worry about seeing him again. Ada was a valuable member of the team, and he didn't want to lose her. She was also leaving them in a lurch. What about her clients? If she really wants to quit, okay, but they still needed help transitioning her clients to other employees. She said she needed to quit today. She wouldn't be back in. She wanted to work on her marriage and herself, and that was her focus now. She thanked him for his kind words and for being a great boss, and they hung up. Yep, she killed her career, at least in the state that she's living in there. I met with the attorney Monday morning. We drew up the divorce settlement along the lines I described to Ada. We both signed. Our divorce was locked in, just what I wanted. I'd be tossing Ada out in 45 days and would have the divorce that was the most advantageous to me. I kept all that I owned, no alimony, and she must leave the condo when I tell her to leave. My plan worked. You may think badly of me for my revenge on Ada. Bro, that was badass. You're a fucking legend. You're a goddamn goat. That was a masterpiece. You got her to agree to all that and do all that? Oh my God. I'm so sorry you went through all this shit. And you made your mistakes. Fair enough. We all do. Most of them when you were younger. And then obviously getting roped into this whole affair thing. And she was awful. And you didn't think you had any reason to not trust her. And after all the horrible things behind your back, and then the manipulation and the chess playing with your emotions and all that, bringing Kathy into this, and then the way she treated you the previous night with that guy and the way she talked to you and all that, and now coming back and then denying everything. Hell no, she deserves far worse. She's got everything she deserves. She deserves to be punished in that way. And so is that fat fuck Roger. Except he's getting off easy. No, this is awesome. You're right. I held out the hope to Ada. I held out the hope to Ada that we would reconcile so that she would agree to the divorce settlement that I wanted, one that would benefit me. You're right. She was now unemployed and her employment prospects for the future aren't good. You're right. Her parents knew what kind of a person she was and would never look at her the same way. But Ada was dead to me as soon as she followed Roger out the door. I will never reconcile with her. Exactly. You're not going to have to pay her alimony. You're keeping all your stuff and the dog, thank God. You can tell I'm an animal lover. And her career's toast. And her relationship with her parents is toast. I mean, at the end of the day, they'll still love her probably, but still, this is what she deserves. But in defense of my actions, Ada has dishonestly conspired to get me to open our relationship for months. She lied that she was bi so she could invite another woman out to our bed to get me to have sex with her. And drugged you, I might add. She did that to justify having sex with other men. She was fine with me having sex with Kathy, but never asked if it was okay with me for her to have sex with other men. She knew I'd say no, and so she made her plans to manipulate both me and Kathy. Kathy is no saint, and don't for a second think she is, brother. She tried to trick me into an open marriage. Ada was never honest with me about her wanting an open marriage or about her affair. I still don't think she told me everything about her time with Roger. I suspect Roger wasn't her only affair. As Kathy said, there were rumors about Ada and other men. I guarantee you that you didn't get the full story. I guarantee you that. But you know what? At this point, doesn't matter. She's going to be toast soon enough. So much for having an honest relationship where we could tell each other everything. But it doesn't matter right now. The marriage she broke is over. In less than 45 days, Ada will be yesterday's old news. And that, gentlemen, is the end of this saga. And thank you all that stayed up tonight to hear part 3. You're probably yawning at this point and chugging down coffee to stay awake because it's probably like 10-ish at night Eastern time. Brother, that was one hell of a story. And I thank you for sending it. When I read it this morning and I said, Jesus Christ, it's 36 pages. But I wanted to do it anyway. I wanted to challenge. And I'm so glad you did that. And as you said in the beginning of the story, how you've heard my other stories, other videos about sharing your story to help other guys, I guarantee you sharing your story, number one, this will be very popular, and guys will be watching it for a long time. And two, you will help other guys out there. You will, through your bad experiences and mistakes, show guys things to look out for. Red flags, the mistake of rushing into relationships, the impression that women get from guys of rushing into relationships, the certainty it gives them, all this other stuff that he made mistakes. And I know you know that, but you got to bring this up. Her bringing up the open relationship thing, the tricks and manipulation a woman will get to get their way, that type of stuff. You're helping guys, and you're doing a service, and I thank you. It takes balls to write this shit in and share it with me and the world. But you're doing a service, and your story was excellent. I mean, like I said, this is the most incredible story I've ever covered here. And I've enjoyed every minute of that, even though, I'm starting to lose my voice. By the end of part 2, I was definitely losing my voice. I had to take a break for an hour. But anyhow, great job. And all I can say is this. As I say to every video, there's been a tragedy, but and a triumph, one day at a time. She'll be out of there in 45 days or whatever's close to that, and you're free of her. And I can't imagine how she's going to react on day 45 or day 46 when you send her ass packing and you file those papers and she agreed to everything and she's screwed and she deserves it. Don't feel bad for a second. And also, if you haven't done so already, get rid of Kathy. She's trouble. Don't waste your time. I don't care if she's hot, has been a shoulder crown. Don't make another big mistake. Do not trust anything with her. Move on. If you want to part ways amicably, so be it. Do not trust her. If you're going to redeem yourself, you've already redeemed yourself. But redeem yourself even more, do that. Get her out of there. I know it's driving Ada crazy having her there at the house, but once Ada's out, then get rid of Kathy. End of story, move on. Wish her well, move on. Don't even sleep with her. Bad idea, because you might get attached. And just take it one day at a time. Stay close to your family. Thank your sister for really helping you out with that lawyer right away. Really give some support and show your appreciation to your attorney for getting you through all this crap. And anybody else that's helped you. And you're going to be all right. Take it one day at a time. And you're 31, bro. 31. Yeah, your whole life ahead of you. Your prime is just beginning. It sounds like you're way ahead. You are way ahead of most people. Own your own condo. You got money. Your career. Start kicking ass more in your career. Dedicate your time to your career. Moving up in your company. Maybe one day you will start your own firm. That would be great. You can do it. The sky's the limit. And you and your dog will live happily ever after. And if down the road you decide one day to get into relationships again, which I can't imagine how, but you probably will, you've learned all these things. And you'll be all the wiser. But keep watching my channel, keep watching other channels, and you'll be okay. And exercise. If you haven't done that yet, work out. And if you have any extra updates or news to share, like when day 45 comes around and you send her ass packing and she has a goddamn meltdown, please send that in. You'll go right to the top because the audience here would love to hear about that. So guys, take a moment. If you're still awake, give this guy a shout out. Show him some praise for what he went through and let him know he wasn't too harsh on her. Let him know that his revenge was warranted. She needs to learn her lesson. You can't just let that shit go. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below, like I just said. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.